What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Storytime with Silvia. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're enjoying this series, please hit like and share with someone you think can relate. And if this is your first time listening to one of my stories, make sure you go back and check out the ones I've posted in the past. Most of my stories are of my first generation Mexican American upbringing, time with my abuelos, personal experiences, and so much more. Enough of the chit chat. Let's get to the story. Today's story is called Kid Boxer. Visiting my grandmother on my father's side consisted of watching boxing matches. I can still remember that old school Mexican announcers calling out play by play as we sat around the television on those hot summer nights in San Luis, Rio Colorado. We would set up the porch with blankets or mattresses to cool down for the night. I would watch until the sound of the TV would put me to sleep with the roar of the crowd and the gancho al hígado in the distance.
Este joven Salvador Sánchez que naciera hace 22 años y pico, el 26 de enero del 59 en Santiago, Texas.
Once my grandmother moved to Compton, California, we would still go visit her on Saturdays for the Mexican boxing matches. And you better believe there was always betting involved. Not always big money, sometimes it was just a quarter, but my father and grandmother took pride in picking the best. Well, what they thought was the best. They knew the boxers well, based on previous fights, who they fought, and what their boxing shorts looked like. As a kid, I would always bet in my own mind, going only by their shorts. I love fancy shorts, okay? It was so fun to hear everyone yelling, including my Tio Chemo, who always wanted to bet big money. But my grandmother always stopped him in his tracks. Seconds before the match began, the quarters were placed on the table with a heavy thump. And then the nose sniffing and neck jerking began. It almost looked like a bunch of chickens walking around the living room pecking for food. For some reason, though, my dad always left disgruntled, losing most of the matches. The countless hours of watching boxing and hearing them comment throughout the fight prepared me for my own boxing matches and saved me from getting beat up one too many times. My dad loved boxing so much, he bought me my own boxing gloves. And a pair for my opponent, guys. Seriously. He would train me in his spare time or after school before he left to work, which was like 10 minutes. The only thing I remember was, yap, 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 gancho al hígado. Yap meaning jab. So he was really saying jab, jab. But he would be like, yap, 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 gancho al hígado. So one day, out of nowhere, he started setting up boxing matches for me. I became a kid boxer. These matches would be set up in my backyard with neighborhood kids. He would also make my brother fight, but he would always lose and get another beating right after losing. I laugh now, but I even beat up some boys and a few primos, which I won't mention any names, but you know who you are. I'm actually kind of proud of beating up some boys. I know these days we don't teach our kids to fight, but that was then, guys. It actually helped me to feel a little more secure going to a school where lunch consisted of getting jumped into a gang and watching kids getting stabbed during passing period. I only had to use my amazing boxing skills in real life once, and it was during PE. We were playing volleyball, and I was throwing the ball under the net to the other side, and I accidentally hit a girl who was bigger than me. And I have to say that she was bigger than me because I was a scrawny kid, okay? She turned around and mad dogged me, guys. You know those kind of mad dogs that'll put fear in you? Everyone was watching, and I knew I had to prove myself or I would be a pushover for the rest of the school year. She cussed me out and said, "I'm gonna kick your butt." So I gulped and said, "Come on then." I know you can't really picture me saying this, but it's true. She quickly ran under the net with her arm up in the air to swing at me. And then all of a sudden, we just went at it. She got a few hits, but I did take her down. I was never a fighter, pero bueno, I had to defend myself. I was suspended, even though it wasn't even my fault. The school had to prove a point, right? So that day, I went home super scared, thinking, oh, my dad is going to punish me. I walked in very cautiously, trying to avoid eye contact. But as soon as I walked in, he greeted me. And then he asked me to narrate the fight play by play. We got a good laugh, and I was respected at school when I went back. Thank God. Don't get me wrong, I was scared. And I was even more afraid of her retaliating, but she never did. So don't mess with me, guys. Just kidding. When my grandmother passed away, I recall my brother going forward to share about her. And he laid a quarter on the pulpit and walked away. That's when it hit me. No more boxing matches with my grandmother. Till this day, we gather with my dad from time to time to watch some boxing. And my brother will always play old ones for us to just enjoy and comment on. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you, you'll hear me in the next one. Peace.
Cuando tú te hayas ido, me envolverán las sombras. Cuando tú te hayas ido, con mi dolor a solas, evocaré este idilio en mis azules horas.